The new channel. The new channel. The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following show are those of the hosts, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new channel, here to help you see the new you. My name is Bob, and this is the Fort Project. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Fort Project, where we talk about money, business, and live, broadcasting live all the way from Dubai, UAE, right here tonight on TNC. My name is Bob, your host on a beautiful Saturday weekend. It's the 8th day for the month of August 2020. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope everybody's doing good, doing fine wherever you are in the world. And again, I would like to remind everybody that you can actually watch us on this page, and you can follow us and like us right here on TNC page wherever you are in the world. So tonight, share this and to your family and friends and loved ones. And we have a guest, another special guest tonight. But then again, I'd like to also invite you to like us and follow us and watch us on YouTube and Instagram. Finally, it's up and running, the Instagram account of TNC, so you can see other shows and other program hosts from the Instagram account of TNC. If you're celebrating a birthday tonight, celebrating an anniversary or anything that is really, really special, hey, congratulations, happy birthday. Thanks a lot for celebrating it with us right here tonight on TNC. Now, let's try to pull up the short bio of my guest for this evening, straight from Dubai, UAE. He is a social media manager with over a decade's worth of experience in marketing and advertising. His approach towards social media marketing is marked by keen focus and sound strategic thinking, and successfully marrying data and insights with true editorial intent. Beyond creating content, he creates narrative, achieving the client's tactical objective while keeping an eye on building communities and moving a brand's story for the better. His portfolio of clients include Nikon Middle East, Nikon Africa, which he handled for over 6 years, Jitex Technology Week, Jitex Future Stars, World Art Dubai, Live Nation, Al Rostamani Group, Landmark, Zenith Group, Britannia, Oriental Pearls Real. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the show tonight, Nicholo Jallores. Hope I pronounced your name
Hi.
tama ba, Jallores?
Yeah. You read
Oh,
that bio so well, Bob. Oh my God.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome on the show. Welcome to the program. It's nice to have you on board. How's everything?
All good from my side. And you?
I'm perfect, great. Just woke up. US time, parang ganun. It's actually 7 o'clock tonight right here in Dubai. Sa mga hindi po nakakaalam ng oras na ng time difference natin, because we're broadcasting via Facebook, so worldwide, di ba? So kahit nasan ka talaga pwede mapanood to. So, well, first things first, there you go. I said it, social media manager. 10 years ago or 15 years ago, this doesn't exist. Itong ganitong trabaho, tama ba?
True, that's true. Actually, even up to now, there are still some people who like react funny when I tell them that my job is in social media. There's still that feeling that that, oh, you'll get a real job. You know what I mean? Some
Right.
people in the world still feel like it's not a serious career, but it actually is. There's a lot of science to it. There's a lot of method behind the madness, and it's a fun job. That's all I can say. It's really a great job.
Nice. Now, let's go back a little bit on how did you landed and maybe in college, and how did you started this career?
Okay. So I've always been I can say that I've always been interested in media and the arts and entertainment and things like that. So that has always been like my trajectory. But I got into social media like earnestly, I could say maybe 6 or 5 years ago in an agency that I used to work for. But what I found most interesting about it is that it's still marketing. It still involves a lot of the communications theories that I've had to learn and I've had to instinctualize. Pero the medium is much faster. The reaction is much more real time, and the engagements are always very fascinating, because even though you like to feel like you're data driven, that you know exactly what you're doing, there are still a lot of things that surprise you about your job as a social media manager. So it's always exciting. You're always on your feet, and you have to be mentally agile and very creative at all times. It's one of those jobs where like you can't get ready for it. You have to stay ready for it, which is why I think it's been such a good fit with me as a human being.
And tell me, because I mean, the reason why you're here tonight is to educate us. Okay, not a lot of people actually have the same job as you. Am I right?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. There's actually a lot of social media executives here, social media managers who are also Filipinos. Because I always say this, like the media and advertising um, field or industry in the Philippines is relatively more advanced, I would say. Not really the most but it's we're a bit more ahead compared to the markets here. So we're naturally very savvy when it comes to this sector. Tapos ano pa, given the fact na 'di ba, the Philippines has always been it's always top the rankings when it comes to social media usage and penetration. Like just a few years back, 'di ba, the Philippines was named the selfiest country in the world. And like our usage of Facebook and Twitter are always on a high. So I feel like Filipinos are naturally social. So parang
Right.
madaling fit to for us.
So parang ano to, parang nangyari sa atin, since mga chismoso tayo, naging digital na nga lang. Parang
You got it.
so okay, but I mean, the course in college, what did you took up back in college?
Yeah. So I took up mass communications in Far Eastern University. So that's really my background. But well, I cannot say I was a very good student, honestly, because by the time when I was in college, I was already also working as an entertainer, as a singer.
Mhm.
So medyo like only half of my foot was in my education, half of my body was in education. Like the other part of me was already hustling. So yeah, but like I mentioned, parang natural na kasi sa akin to be a communicator. So yeah, so it hasn't been such a huge shift when it comes to mindsets, kasi parang kumbaga parang given na I'm naturally proficient at these things. I mean, don't get me started on math. Like I'm terrible.
Hindi ko alam kung ano meron sa lahat ng mga masscom and people in radio and media and broadcasting. Medyo talaga pagdating sa mga numbers, parang
No.
okay, next.
Right? There are
Anyway,
a few na magaling din sa math. Like I know some people, like I have very very good friends in my immediate circle who are
wow.
also communicators but good at math.
Oh.
I secretly resent them. Like, okay, this is not fair.
Okay, before this job, before you landed in this really, really articulate community and work, what did you used to do?
Okay, so I had actually worked as a professional singer for more than 10 years. Like I always
Wow.
say this, like I had been a performer longer than I had been anything else. And in fact, that was my first job here in Dubai. So I landed here in Dubai actually around this time. I'm gonna be celebrating my 10th year this year.
Wow.
So this month. So I landed here August 2010. Yeah, and then I used to work as a singer for a bar in a hotel, like very very near the airport. So I did that for a year, and then, but when the contract ended, it was a real sort of existential fork in the road for me, because that's the time when I kind of thought like, okay, you've been singing for 10 years. What else do you want to do? What else can you do? If you're gonna try something new, I think it's Dubai is the best place to try.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
okay, so singer turned into digital and social media. Who gave you the idea that this career exists?
Social media or
Yeah,
communications in general?
the thing that you're doing now.
Okay. So I had first encountered social media probably mga 2011. Yeah, on my first like desk job after my singing stint. So that's the time when I first started working on social media. But you have to understand, in 2011, a lot of brands were still like not 100% into it. Like
Hmm.
they kind of thought it was nice to have, but it wasn't a prerequisite, or it wasn't a requirement. Pero I think something, if you've been here in the Middle East long enough, something happened around 2008 to uh, 2010 that
Hmm. Right.
completely shifted the digital communications landscape, and made people realize how important social media really was. And that is the Arab Spring.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
revolution kind of opened a lot of the brand's eyes into the true power of social media, because people were mobilizing these uprisings and these demonstrations purely through social media. So doon nila napansin na parang, ay, wait, kailangan pala nating seryosohin to, kasi it looks like it really is useful.
Hmm.
It's not just a newfangled thing. It's not just a new techie thing, but it's actually the wave of the future. So yeah. So I got into social media when it already had years behind it, pero nung time na yung mga brands were already starting to like 100% fully adopt it.
Ang galing, no? Kasi, so like you said, di ba? Like you mentioned earlier, na it actually changes the landscape of maybe putting an ads, a commercial. Kasi before, I've been with the radio for over a decade na rin. Parang yun lang yung options mo. It's either billboard, magazine, radio, and
Yeah,
TV. But
yeah,
nowadays, sabi mo nga, somewhere around 2008, 2009, doon nagkaroon ng shift, no? Now,
yeah.
how does this, I mean, how do you see things na biglang nagkaroon na, okay, this is an option, a really good option for people who wanted to advertise yung social media platform na ganito?
Yeah. You know, to answer that question, like I just wanna. Okay, so parang for the past maybe 5 years, maybe for as long as I've been like specializing on social media, people have always been there. There's always been some people who are saying that, oh, social media is dying. People are gonna get over social media. Yeah, and it's not gonna last. It only has a few years left until it's completely irrelevant. And they've been saying that since 2014. It's already 2020,
Right.
and social media doesn't is not showing any signs of weakening. In fact, if there's any one, I hate to say that there's anything positive about the pandemic, but if there's any one thing that's beneficial about the pandemic, is that it kind of boosted social media's relevance even more, as if it's not already relevant enough. Pero like right now, it's like next level, right? Because now you have people being more active with Facebook Live, like people pursuing all of these new pursuits, these new side businesses, and promoting them on social. So yeah, so it's interesting to see how humanity has been adopting this technology, and how so the technology has also been adopting to humanity. And I don't think it's something that's going to go away anytime soon. Like I think
Right.
I still have like at least another 10 years to me
Mm-hmm.
in this career. Yeah, so yun. Did I answer your question?
Given,
Sorry.
yeah, but yeah, given the situation that happened over the past 5-10 years, what is your take when let's say pros and cons? Do you think it's an advantage for a lot of people? Do you think it's a disadvantage for some people? Being you working in the industry.
Yeah. Can you specify a little bit
Yeah, because
more about the
like
question?
we said, di ba, parang wala nito before eh. And then now
Yeah.
everyone is actually glued to their phones and iPads
Yeah.
and laptops. So
Yes.
sobrang dramatic talaga ng change. So what are the pros and cons do you think being the one experiencing the change and
Yeah.
ayan, nandiyan ka na, social
Got
media
it.
manager?
Okay. So I think the number one pros in in a list of 1 million pros is that social media has democratized mass communication, whereas before communication was really the ball game of the big players, of these big broadcasters, of these big celebrities. Now everyone has a platform, everyone has a share of voice, and kumbaga parang we've been given this power to utilize our perspectives and touch other people's lives with it. So that's one. If I'm to pick like one best pro, that's gonna be it. Like it just completely democratize the communications ball game. The major con that I find is that as platforms progress, as platforms expand, there are there are questions that arise regarding privacy, questions that arise regarding ethics about who gets to sort of tell what news are true and what news aren't. So
Mm-hmm.
those are very very difficult questions. Kasi kunwari, like for example, like the question of like if you've been tuning into Facebook or and Mark Zuckerberg's uh, uh, visits in the US Senate, parang
Mm-hmm.
one of the questions na tinatanong sa kanya lagi is, okay, so how are you fact-checking? Parang what are your procedures when it comes to censoring fallacious content? So
Mm-hmm.
if you, yung sagot ni Mark Zuckerberg, laging parang, we kind of want to put it
Mhm. Okay, we're having a little bit of a technical lag and difficulty on the Nico's side, but then again, tonight is the fourth project where we talk about money, business, and life. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob, and this is live on TNC, the new channel, and you can catch me every Wednesdays, 7 p.m., and every Saturday, 7 p.m. in Dubai time, and 11 o'clock in the Philippines. And if you're watching from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, hello to you. Good evening, still. Or still good evening in the Philippines, and of course, my guest is a social media manager. Has been in the business and the industry for over a decade now, and with great success with a lot of different huge clients right here in the Middle East. His name is Nicholo Jallores, and we'll get back to her. We'll get back to him a little bit later on as we actually fix the. This is what you get. This is a live show. So this is what you get when you're dealing with uh, internet and when you're dealing with devices, and this is really really natural. I'd like to say hello, good evening to the people who's locked into us over the Facebook on the comment section down below. Hello to Danielle Ruth tuned in for Nicolo Jallores, Trisha Cusi Jimenez. We are watching you, Tito Nix. Thomas is listening too. Hello to who else do we have? Let me say hi, hello, good evening to the sound engineer of the Fort Project, Tito Melo, and also hello to Tita Dot Dot, the one of the teammates that we have tonight on the show, and of course my mom, who's actually usually tuned in and locked in all the way from Melbourne, Australia. Good evening, guys, and thanks a lot for being here, supporting the podcast. And yeah, like I said, this is the Fort Project. Like us right here. You can follow us on Instagram. You can like us on Facebook. So if there's anything you have insights, messages, questions, collaboration, you can inbox us right here on this Facebook and also on Instagram. And if you have light messages, hindi masyadong seryoso or just purely shout out, you can actually do so on the comment section down below of the live broadcast that we're doing tonight. It's the 8th day for the month of August 2020. This is the peak of summer right here in Dubai, UAE. It's 45, I think, today, nung mga nag-12 lunchtime kanina. So it's really, really hot. I'm not pretty sure in some other areas. And we are delayed ba ng mga 6-7 hours sa Melbourne, Australia naman. So right now, siguro mga alas 2, alas 3 na madaling araw sa kanila. And as of now, sobrang lamig daw sa kanila. So completely opposite and different on the other side of the world, di ba? And that's the very, very good thing about social media nowadays, because that's what we're talking about here. Social media nowadays, you can actually reach people from around the world. Because it's live on Facebook. So if you are new to the channel, welcome, good evening. And like I said again, it's the Fort Project. It's a show that happens every Wednesdays and Thursdays. So you can catch me here twice a week, every 7 p.m. Dubai time, and also Saturday 7 p.m. 11 o'clock in the Philippines. All right. So tell your friends all about us. Like the broadcast and share. Alam mo yung mga watch party, di ba? So we can actually reach more people that maybe, just maybe we can help them out on their things in life, perspective in life, especially now that it's a COVID-19 season or crisis. We're still here. Everybody's still trying to get by and survive. And again, I have a guest tonight. No, baka sa mga ka-tune in lang, bakit mag-isa si Bob? I have a guest tonight. We're having a technical difficulty on the Nico's side, on Nico's side. So maya konti, we're gonna get him back on the show so we can ask more questions about social media. And ito nga kasi, no, totoo yun eh. In every change and everything, there's a pros and cons. So we're talking about that kanina before siya na-cut off on the line na kung meron mang mga cons nga is yung sana, di ba, responsible ano ba tawag doon? Responsible human being in social media. There's a lot of hate, there's a lot of negativity, and you just need to choose kung ano ba yung pakikinggan mo, ano ba yung babasahin mo, ano ba yung panonoorin mo on social media, because everything is kumbaga made of choices. Pwede kang mamili. I'm just not pretty sure why the 90% of the people tend to incline on the negativity, tend to actually listen to the bad stuff, tend to actually listen sa mga hindi magagandang bagay. Kasi let's say nakita mo yung classmate mo back in college na parang nasa Japan, ay, nandiyan na pala yan, grabe siguro trabaho niyan dyan. Instead of, buti na lang yung college na friend namin or batch namin, at least di ba nasa abroad na yun, I see her, I see him, he's actually doing good in Japan. I don't know what he does for a living, pero he looks good, he looks fine. Alam mo yun, parang instead of appreciating, di ba, people on social media, especially the people that you know personally, wala eh, di ba? But instead, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of bashers, may mga gumagawa pa ng fake accounts, may mga gumagawa pa ng dummy accounts na just to actually spread hate. And my question is, what do you take, diba? What do you get from spreading hate? Hindi ko alam, no, may campaign pa na dapat mas marami kaming galit sa kanya. Dapat mas marami kaming naiinis sa kanya. Hindi ko alam, ganun ba siya? Diba? Oo. So, he's back. All right. So, he's back. Tama ba? So, he's with us on the backstage. Oo, sige. Oh, yun. All right. Ayan. Welcome back once again on the show. This is what we get when we're dealing with technology.
Yeah.
So,
you going back, emoji.
Going back kanina, no, Nico, yun nga, we're talking about pros and cons. So sabi mo, merong mga pros and meron din mga cons, and which is to continue, ano nga yung pagka medyo the mga bad stuff, di ba?
Yeah. Well, the major cons of social media is that as the platforms continue to expand, it's getting harder and harder for the platforms to kind of police their community. For example, meron na nung questions about ethics, about who gets to censor what's true and what isn't. And then, like what you mentioned just a while ago, like some people are actually kind of weaponizing social media because they know how effective it is when it comes to painting the communications landscape. So those are the cons, and those are very difficult questions, but they do need to be answered. However, I have 100% faith in these platforms ability to be able to answer these questions as we all move forward. What's fascinating is that people tend to underestimate how young and new social media is. It's
Right.
actually pretty new. Like
Mhm.
10 years is not a long time.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's it's still very much in its infancy. And
Mhm.
and like a lot of things that that humanity adopts, parang we have to take it to the ridiculous extremes first before we pull it back and just get it right, get it
Mhm.
just right. So yun yung medyo trade-off niya.
Yeah, it's kind of sad for me that you said weaponizing. There's no proper sanction. Pwede ako magawa ng fake accounts ko and I can spread hate and there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong na mangyayari sa akin. Parang walang consequence. And a lot of people
yeah,
are doing that. They're doing it for scams, na
yeah,
memera, kukunin yung mga bank accounts ba or personal details mo. And it's
yeah.
just really sad that this area is exists, diba? But now let me ask you, this is obviously a huge change for a mankind to deal with nowadays, diba? So what can you say, Nico, about change? What do you I mean your perspective when you hear the word change? Kasi with our president, diba, change has come or change is coming. So
Yeah.
parang patapos nagkasabay-sabay. And then now we have the COVID-19. So change is really andito eh. Sabi ko, it's inevitable. So when you hear the word change, what comes into your mind?
Okay. The first thing that comes to my mind is measurability. So, because I'm a social media manager and I'm used to looking at data and analytics all the time, like yun yung unang-una kong naiisip. Okay, you want to change, but what are your metrics for having changed? Like, what are your KPIs? Like, you can't just say, I'm going to change, and then not really tell people what you're going to change into, and not wanting to be accountable for the steps that you take in initiating that change. So yung unang-una kong naiisip na parang if someone is gonna come to you promising change, or if you yourself are promising change, you have to be able to prove it in ways that are demonstrable and ways that are uh, transparent and easily measured. Kumbaga doon tayo sa data, doon tayo sa science. Like kahit na sabihin mong, okay, I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna lose, I want to be fitter. I want to be healthier. Okay, but what are your goals? Are you gonna lose, how many pounds are you aiming to lose? What is your timeline? Kumbaga, you want to set the parameter behind, around the objective, instead of just saying we're gonna change, we're gonna change, we're gonna change. Like you have
Right.
to figure that out. Kumbaga, you want to figure out how it's not enough for you to know where you're going. You have to know how you're gonna get there. So that's like the first thing that comes to my mind.
Words from Nicholo Jallores tonight on
Yeah,
the Port Project. As my guest this evening, ladies and gentlemen. And ang galing, no? Kasi tama, hindi pwedeng may babaguhin tayo. Dapat may target. Okay. And then bakit
yeah,
ka magbabago? Tapos ano yung
exactly,
from before and then ano yung what are you targeting na parang end result nito, 'di ba?
exactly.
And I want to talk about in general dito like Filipinos abroad, Filipino expats na again, it's just ako kasi taga-sulong ako ng ano ng sulong asenso kasi ako eh. It's just sad na yan 10 years, 20 years, 30 years nag-abroad, walang nangyari. Although may nag-change eh. Meron naman. It's just that nung pag-uwi nila, maraming beses natin napanood to na bakit parang si Mang ganito 30 years abroad o sa ganyan, but parang walang nangyari, 'di ba? So yeah, it's
Yeah,
just sad on my part to see those. So I think nowadays no we have now a better understanding of what change is. Kasi tinan mo ayaw kang palabasin ng virus that you have to
mm,
function, 'di ba? Dito sa abroad, dito walang libre. Tama
yeah,
ba? So
yeah.
anyway, so okay, change nagbago na. Now dun sa process of change with the works that you do ano yung mga pwede at possible na pagdaanan ng isa for the viewers na nanonood or na nakikinig sa atin tonight na nga no, bakit parang siguro it's about time, di ba, nagayahin ko rin yung ginagawa ng iba, kumaga try to be more observant. Ano na ba yung kumikita ngayon, ano na ba yung ano tawag dito, yung pag nawala, ano tawag doon, yung kumbaga pasay na, nasa na yung mga before na hindi na gumagana, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Ano yung kinukonsume ng mga tao ngayon? What are the expectations na pwedeng daanan if you're on the process of changing, Nico?
Hmm. I think, okay, with the coronavirus and with this pandemic crisis, and with the global recession that we're all encountering, I think what it's done is that it recontextualized our lives in such a huge way. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, like I've set so many amazing goals for 2020 that that I'm not gonna be able to like pursue anymore given the current situation. But what it's forced me to do and compelled me to do personally though is sort of think about ways where I can diversify not just my income but also my activities and my mindsets and set of talents and skills. Like I think it forced all of us to revisit what we think is enough and sort of explore what could be. So I know that a lot of people are completely distressed and has been displaced and disrupted by this current situation, and that's okay because it is a disruptive situation. But it also behooves us to understand that if we may not have asked for this change, but this change is right in front of us now, and we're all gonna have to be strong enough and agile enough to adapt to it. So ako personally, I'm very, very inspired when I see people whom I know na are like exploring new ways to sort of diversify their income. Like I'm always inspired to see people all of a sudden doing podcasts or like doing or cooking and selling them online. I love it, right? Because it shows you that that the indomitability of the human spirit. 'Di ba? Na parang hindi tayo tataluhin ng virus na 'to. Gagawa
Correct. Well, yeah, great answer, and
babawi ako, friend.
it's getting more and more exciting as we go on with the show tonight with Mr. Nico Jallores. But this time we're going to be taking a short break, and we'll be coming right back with more right here on TNC. Great Saturday night weekend right here in the Bayou AE. And this evening, this is the Ford Project where we talk about money, business, and life with Bob, your host. And we'd like to invite you guys to watch different shows that we have for you. We have The Big Picture with Lloyd Luna, shares inspiring stories of notable personalities, streams every day, Mondays to Friday, 7 p.m. We also have HR Hotline, introduces us to the wonderful world of human resources management every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And all the way from the States, iBusiness talks about inspiring business insights, live streaming from Tennessee and Texas in the USA, Tuesdays and Thursdays. 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and Wednesdays and Fridays, 9:30 a.m. Philippine time. The fourth project is what you're watching this evening. Learn your life's purpose by turning into U-Turn. That happens Mondays and Thursdays, 10:30 a.m. And we also have the Home Buyer, is where you hear inspiring stories about building and owning a property, streams Mondays and Thursdays, 4 p.m. And my favorite one with Juan Lu, laugh and learn through the puppet stories, Tuesdays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Magbenta, bumili at tumulong dahil bukas na ang TNC Marketplace, an online night bazaar live streaming every Thursdays and Fridays at 10 p.m. And Two Leaders in One platforms every episode. TNC The Talk streams every Mondays at 12 noon. We also have Chino and Trisha After Shift and a couple of other new shows that are going to be coming your way this month of August. All right, back on the show with my guest, Nicholo Jallores, a social media manager for over 10 years right here in Dubai, UAE. Welcome back on the show. You good despite the connection? Okay pa? Having fun?
Yeah, good.
So eto na, nabanggit mo kanina, napag-usapan natin the changes, the process of having changes. No, now, what do you see yung sa mga tao ngayon in general, yung how they smartly use technology while staying at home while we're on the pandemic crisis? Ano yung mga nakita mo na, nga, no, pwede to, posible to. And, yun, ano yung mga napansin mo that, I don't know, well, with you, a very keen observer nga with social media. So, ano yung mga parang pwedeng isipin ng tao na, why can't I do the same?
Yeah. So I like, I mentioned several examples just previously, but the one that inspires me the most and the one that I'm most excited about is how, a lot of Filipinos now, or just a lot of people in general, are engaging in skill sharing. So I love that. So I love it when people go live or do online Zoom meetings regarding their interests or hobbies or expertise. So yeah, that's really great because at this stage when a lot of us are really shanghaied at home, it's really the best time for us to expand our range of skills and talents. So that's always interesting. And yeah, and what else? So yeah, there. And also, ever since the lockdowns have been happening all over the globe, it's so funny to see how oversharers have gone completely overboard. I love it that people are like sharing every little thing about what they do. And on one end, it can be argued that it's too much information. But as a social media manager, na parang it's when I see people being more active on social media, it's always a great thing because it means that that the platform that I'm working in is growing and growing and growing.
What can you say, Nick, about the people who resist change? Kasi ako siguro I would say medyo yung mga mas ahead sa atin or mas matanda sa atin, they're actually not willing to do the change, but we're actually put in a position where our backs are actually behind the wall. Diba?
Yeah.
Parang ito na yung pandemic, ito na yung crisis. Whether you like it or not, you have to. But there's still a lot of people na hindi, matatapos din yan, naantayin ko na lang, saka na lang. What can you say about that kind of people?
Well, I can't pass, a blanket judgment on everyone. Kasi iba-iba naman tayo ng sitwasyon sa buhay, iba-iba naman tayo ng perspectives, iba-iba tayo ng upbringing, and yes, iba-iba din tayo ng edad. It does matter. The generational differences do matter. Ang sa akin lang na parang, if for you, if the pandemic, if this crisis, if this new normal is a time for you to slow down and just get back to become centered and go back to re-examining who you are internally, then fine, right? You don't have to do 10 million things if you don't want to. Pero I mean, if you really want to make the most out of the time that has been given to you, like this is the time to assess kung ano ba talaga pang that thing that I did 10 years ago when I was when my contract when my singing contract ended here in Dubai, na parang I asked myself, okay, who am I now and what can I turn into, right? So that was me 10 years ago. And it's great that 10 years after that, I'm also asking myself the same question. Like, how am I going to be Nicholo Jallores version 3.0? Like, how am I going to step into Nicolo's greatness? How am I going to take even greater ownership of who I am and what I can contribute to the world, right? So I have the opportunity to do that now because I'm not, like I'm working from home. I'm not spending so much time in transportation anymore. Like medyo nakakatipid pa nga ako kasi hindi na ako nagbabayad ng taxi, hindi na ako sumasakay ng metro, and I have greater control over my time. So how else can I expand the concept of Nicholo Jallores? So that's also kind of how I want that's how I want to inspire people to think about change. It's not about completely turning yourself, it's not completely, becoming a different person, but more of like growing more into who you're supposed to be. Like we're all constantly evolving, we're all constantly progressing, but it's our will and our mindset that pushes that journey forward. Hindi tayo pwedeng parang ano lang, parang winawasiwas-iwas lang ng tadhana, right? We have to grab it by the horns and say, okay, this may be a crazy situation, but I'm still in control of my destiny. Like the coronavirus is not going to own me. Like I'm going to have full agency of my greatness and I'm gonna be better. So yun lang. So on that regard, it doesn't really matter if you're 13 or if you're 60 or if you're 80. Like if you wanna step into a better version of yourself, you can do it wherever, whenever. It's just a matter of you deciding that the time is now.
Wow. While you're actually giving me all those answers, Nico, I'm having a goosebumps, and I'm really happy, genuinely now tonight that I see na meron pa palang ibang mga tao na somehow we think alike. Now it's great news, and it's great to know that may ganito. Now kanina it's a weird thing, no? I was in the bathroom at
Oh,
naisip ko yung kanta ni sino ba yung kay Sera Sera whatever will sabi mo nga, no, hindi
yeah, yeah,
tayo
yeah.
pwedeng ang galing, no, kasi yun yung iniisip ko, and then that came out from you. Hindi tayo pwede na kung ano mangyari bahala na, hindi pwede ganoon eh.
Oh,
Again, 'di ba, it's all about taking control of your own life. 'Di ba? Hindi nga kasi before ka magpunta ng Dubai, you had plans. Ngayon ang tanong, nasaan na yung mga plano na yun? 'Di ba? Ano
yeah.
nang nangyari sa kanila? Hindi naman nga pwedeng kasi sabi ko nga, 'di ba, parang during this time pwede bang saka na lang ako kakain, saka na lang ako magrerenta ng bahay, saka na lang ako
Yeah,
iinom
yeah.
ng tubig, 'di ba? O magto-toothbrush kasi wala na akong toothpaste, 'di ba? So, um now the question is, saan nanggagaling to? Obviously, you're very young and very intelligent, and you're very active. Saan nanggagaling to? Do you read a book about this years ago? Did you follow a mentor, or did somehow teach you na dapat hindi ganito, dapat ikaw parati kang your own, kumbaga it keeps you on your toes kasi ang mga bagay-bagay nagbabago. Where do you get this?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not very young. I'm actually I'm actually closer to 40. So I don't know if that can be considered young, but I'm still, I still feel young because I'm very enthusiastic about a great many things. But in terms of where I learned and sort of adopted these values, uh, well, there's a person's upbringing, which is a result of parenting, a result of cultural conditioning, a result of their economic circumstance. So there's upbringing that is done to you, and then there's the upbringing that you do to yourself. I just think that I don't want to use the word lucky, but I feel like I've been very lucky to have been made aware of that fact at a very young age. Kumbaga parang I can remember as early when I was as young as 7 or 8 years old, na I was already taking steps into kind of curating what my personality is going to be. I don't know if that makes sense. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like I was already aware that that I can put together what I'm going to be when I grow up, and that's still my attitude now. Like I feel like I'm constantly like personally growing and exploring new things and sort of questioning myself all of the time. And yeah, just it Nicolo's head space is like in a constant state of self-regulation, of like constantly questioning his belief systems. So yeah, I can't really say if I had a mentor, but I know that I've read, like I started really reading like really heavy books like very young. And yeah, and also like music also, it's a very intellectual experience if you want it to be, because you're not just listening to music, but you're also seeing gaining insight on history and culture and politics. So parang ganun lang, it's not all of these stimuli that came to me. It's just that I was lucky enough to have developed the self-awareness to go and think na, okay, I can take this. Now this is mine. Or I can take this. Now this is mine. So yun, that's just my personality. I've always been a little bit of a magpie when it comes to perspectives.
Ang galing, no? You said that I can feel the energy from here. I can feel the energy that this is a great collaboration, a great interview tonight. For people to
Oh,
actually
great.
take advantage of, because a lot of viewers maybe are thinking, young ones and old ones, it's never too late to actually change. Actually, yung change hindi kasi natatapos, 'di ba? Patuloy siya, pag yung pagbabago, tuloy-tuloy siya, no. And like I said, nowadays, no, we're put our backs behind walls. Na you just really have to adapt and survive and change. Kahit na nga hindi na muna siguro Nico papunta sa success, yung
Yeah.
maka-survive ka, maka-adapt ka, it's a huge kumaga parang monumental na pagbabago na sa individuality, 'di ba? And well, like I said, it's great to have you here tonight on the show. Now, before we actually pause for another commercial break, I'd like to say hello to Emmanuel Castro. This is very
My best friend in the
insightful.
Philippines. Yeah.
Binyan, Laguna. Hi, best Nicolo Jallores. Okay. Also, Van Mark Ryan Montero. Do you know the person? Do you know the guy?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have.
yeah.
Ayun, I highly agree with Kuya Nico. There's a sense of getting a breather because of all the free time from the pandemic. This is a
Yeah.
very weird sense of finally being able to see the entire forest and not only the same singular tree. Now, speaking of tree, this is
Amazing.
what I always talk about when I invited for speakership and trainings. Now, you have a choice kasi tao ka. You're not a tree. If you don't like the situation, you can actually move. 'Di ba? Yung puno, walang choice yan. Magbagyuhan man, magulanan man, lumindol, andun lang siya. 'Di ba? So the very good thing that we have nowadays is this social media, this internet, this devices that we actually use nowadays to actually get the message across the board. Now, again, like I said, we're going to be going back with Nicolo tonight on the program. We'll be taking another quick break, and we'll be coming right back with more. And we're back once again. And before we get my guest for this evening, there's a show that's going to be coming soon on TNC. And I think I probably know the guy and the other girl on the show. So please watch this. Wow, there you go. It's YOLO with attorney Carlo Ibanez. The world premiere will be on
YOLO.
August 17, Monday, 8:30 p.m. Philippine time with Attorney Sheila. So, ito mga kabatas to, mga ano to, mga may kinalaman sa ano to, sa batas. So, legal, di ba? We're bringing in lawyers on board to be the host of a new show right here on TNT. Now, let's bring back Nico. Okay. So, kanina, I know it's not butterflies and rainbows all throughout your career. Now, how does rejection plays in your career? How does failures place in your career? And being emotional, does it actually affects the decision making when it comes to your work, to your business?
Yeah. Okay. So there's this one. I forget. There's this one quote that I really, really. I forget who exactly said it, but it says, "If something didn't turn out the way you wanted to, like if this is not what you expected it to be, what is it?" Right? If this isn't what you expected it to be, what is it? So I've always been very, I've always used that quote as an inspiration for times when I fail at something. And, by failure, I don't mean like massive, like life shattering uh, events, but I mean like, let's say if a campaign didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, or if a post didn't, if a post that I put out on social media for one of my brands didn't quite perform the way that I had anticipated, right? So I always use that quote because then, okay, so if this post didn't work, where will it work? Because for sure it's gonna work somewhere else, but maybe it's just not working here. And like if this didn't work, then what will? What about this didn't work? What about this needs to be changed? How do I dismantle this post and reverse engineer it so it's going to be something else that's more successful? So, failure sucks. I mean, let's be real here. It doesn't feel good. It hurts to learn that you're ignorant. But at the same time, na parang failure is an opportunity for you to examine your blueprint for success, right? And this is especially true for my line of work kasi my job is very data driven. It's very analytics driven. You can't just go to a client and say, "Oh, this campaign failed." No, you have to explain why it failed. Like you have to do a post-mortem. You have to completely analyze it from every possible angle because you don't want to make that mistake again. So it's a job that's not just about, pretty things or posting funny stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, there's also a lot of science involved to it. And I've been able to adopt that attitude towards my personal life also. Na parang if I fail at one thing, what what else can I do with it? Like where can I take this story? How do I rewrite this so I'm in control of the narrative again?
Para ka palang BDO. We find ways.
Yeah, definitely. Para-paraan lang yan, friend.
Hindi kasi ganito na I was watching a training earlier. Sabi nila, okay, in your mind, let's just say in your mind, you wanted to be successful in 2 years. In your mind, okay, that's your
Yeah.
estimate. 24 months, I'm gonna be successful because I'm gonna put in the work, the hustle, the grind. All right, this is my career. All right, 2 years. All right. What if your creator has a plan for you to be successful after 5 years? So does that
Sure.
mean after 2 years ba, magkukwit ka na,
Yeah.
ayoko na, babalik na lang ako sa dati kong ginagawa? So it takes a lot of patience and it's kanina, di ba, you said awareness, education, wisdom, di ba? As long as you, kasi I think yung 10 years mo sa career mo, it's not a short time, di ba? It's 1 decade. So again, yung knowledge mo, yung information mo, awareness mo, turn into something that we can call, it's safe to call wisdom nowadays. Now,
Yeah.
so pagka ganun pala, hindi reason enough for you to give up on things.
Yeah. Diba, I forget who said it, but there's this popular quote also na, diba, that says that success is really just going from failure to failure with
Mhm.
undiminished enthusiasm. So
Mhm.
ganun lang ganun lang talaga 'yon. Try and try until you succeed. 'Di ba? Na parang it's not about getting it right all the time. It's about getting things wrong but being in the right position to learn from your mistakes. So yeah, so that's I think how we should all proceed moving forward, especially in the context of the pandemic, no? Kasi,
Mm,
for example, who in the world anticipated that this was going to happen? Who?
exactly.
Right? Like which business actually projected that a crisis of this nature was going to happen in 2020? No one. No one was making their marketing plans or their annual budgets for 2020 thinking that we have to put a contingency plan for when a pandemic hits. Who does that? It's really a monkey in it's like a wrench in the plan. 'Di ba? Parang out of nowhere we got sucker punched by this virus.
Mhm.
Pero even if it's something that we didn't anticipate, there's still a lot of learnings to be had in this experience. So yeah,
Right.
just observe, um, be engaged, be committed to the vision, try to retain as much of your enthusiasm as possible, and just stay strong. Diba? Filipinos are resilient. Now's the time to be resilient.
Right. Kumbaga, try to be one. Try to be a Filipino nowadays. Now, let's talk
Yeah.
about goals and success. Now, my question is, okay, this is the goal and this is the process. Now, if things go bad, go wrong, and everything goes south, do you change the goal or do you change the plan?
Well, I, it's a lame answer, but the answer is it really depends. It really depends on the situation. Like if I'm going to relate it to my job as a social media manager, diba? So let's say a campaign is failing midway.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm spending way more than I had anticipated, or I'm not getting the kind of reaction that I was hoping on getting. So it's easier for me to change tactics instead of changing strategies. You know what I mean? Because technically speaking, a tactic is your short term sort of approach, while your strategy is your long term vision. Na
Hmm.
parang I wouldn't want to change the vision because that means I'm gonna have to change every single thing. Maybe
Right.
it's just a matter of like of adjusting some small things. For example, like if an ad is not performing as well as I had hoped, is it the image? Is it the caption? Is it the targeting? What is it about this that isn't working because I need this to work? I need this to work. And like I can't change my plan because I've already committed to this. The client has already signed on. Like this has already been agreed upon, and I don't want to go back to the drawing board. So, ayun, so it's about operational agility. Hindi lang yung pagiging malakas. Hindi lang It's not just about strength, it's about flexibility also and being quick on your feet. Diba? Like I mentioned earlier, na parang one of the things about social media that I really enjoy is that you have to be a quick thinker. So
Right.
ganun din. It can also be applied to to your plans na pornada dahil sa
Hmm.
pandemic, right?
Right.
Maybe you had these grand ambitions. Maybe you had this vision for yourself that you were going to be something really really fabulous in
Hmm.
2020. Well, okay, so maybe the pandemic put a wrench in that plan, but that doesn't mean that you have to throw the entire thing in the bin, right?
Exactly.
Maybe it's just a matter of you moving your timelines a little bit forward. Maybe
Right.
it's just a matter of adjusting your work schedule. It sometimes I feel like in life, most of our problems are like this small, but
Hmm.
our drama is this big. So so before we get to actually solving the problem, we have to navigate through so much drama.
Uh-oh.
Tapos pag nakita mo naman yung problem, kaliit-liit lang ng problem. It's literally a 5-minute job. Like in my capacity as a social media manager, that happens a lot. Na parang yung stress ko ganito kalaki, yung problema ko pala I could have solved it in like literally 1 minute,
Mm.
right? So ganun lang din. Again, self-awareness, again, undiminished enthusiasm, resilience, staying true to your vision. Now, whether or not you need to give up on some of your plans is, that's gonna be a long and painful internal conversation. But
Mhm.
if I could just give a quick advice to everyone, it's that don't be disheartened if COVID-19 sort of cramped your style. Just relax, reassess, revisit your plans, see how you could adjust, see how you could be a little bit more, see how you could manage your expectations a little bit better. Now, see, that's an important thing. in the media landscape, agency work, and in just life in general, you have to manage your expectations.
Mhm,
No,
right.
baka naman kasi iniisip mo na parang from literally from zero to hero ka agad in just 2 years time, right? So, 'di ba, na parang syempre, 'di ba, medyo kalma lang ng konti, na baka naman
Let's
pwede
all
ka
be
pang
realistic.
mag-ano, let's be realistic. And again, just minimize the drama, really.
Wow, there you go. Again, guys, this evening, Nicholo Jallores on the show, on the episode of the Port Project, where we talk about money, business, and life. And this is not going to be the first and last time that you're going to be here. Hopefully, on the second season, you are going to be back. Now, before I let you go, any platforms, shows that they can reach you and watch you and get in touch with you.
Okay. So I have a mall show. No, I'm kidding. I don't have a mall show. But but I do
Alam mo, regularly
yeah.
kumakanta.
No, but you can reach to okay. So I just like to promote this group that friends also in the communications field. I don't know if you've heard of it, Bob, but we actually formed a group called the Filipino Communicators Collective.
I
So
think
it's a group
Annabelle
that is
told me about
yeah, Danabel's in it and Louis is on it. So yeah, so it's a group of UAE-based Filipino media and communications practitioners. So if you are in those fields and you would like to connect with your peers, you want to share some of your skills, or you would like to learn some new skills, you're looking for someone to mentor you or advise, you're looking for leads. So you can find us on Facebook. We're a close group on Facebook. So just search for us, the Filipino Communicators Collective.
hmm. All right,
Yeah.
there you go. And well, again, Nico, it's really great to have you on the show, and hopefully you'll be back here. Maraming salamat, and stay safe. All right.
Of course. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the new channel. You guys are great.
All right, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back on Wednesday for another episode of the Ford Project. But before we end the show, we would like to say hello to the beautiful people who made this show possible. This show is being presented to us by Puzzle Box BPO, sponsored by the Manila Times, Step Back, and POPS, or Philippine Association of Professional Speakers. And this has been your host, Bob, right here on the Ford Project, where we talk about money, business, and life tonight, right here on TNC. Good night.